Thank you very much for staying with BizCheck here on KBC Channel 1. My name is Betty Kiptum and Lensa Odingo is my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Now, over the next half an hour, the last part of the program, we shall be having a conversation on matters financing MSMEs, micro, small and medium enterprises. And to have this conversation is Stanley Gashoki, who is the head in charge of distribution and premium banking at I&M Bank. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Betty.
Karibu sana. Micro, small, medium enterprises, they are the support of Kenya's economy. You know, they are creating over 80% of new jobs annually.
Yes.
And over time, they have had challenges accessing funding. How is the banking sector supporting this?
That's a very good question. When you speak about SME, I think probably I should have started with the history of I&M.
Sure.
And we celebrated 50 years last year of existence. And through those 50 years, we've learned a lot. And we've actually decided to be very deliberate in anchoring our growth on the SME space. SMEs currently are more than 10 million in the country. And I think they command 98% of the overall businesses which are run in the country. But if you'll see their contribution to the GDP is less than 3%. So the question is, how can we be able to actually come in and help SMEs scale up? And much has been spoken about the South Asian economies. They're all in the same stage as Kenya at one point. And how they were able to actually revolutionize this by the element of now purposing and getting more value and more focused funding in terms of helping them actually move to the next stage. And as I&M, we are very deliberate in terms of our products, in terms of our offerings, continue to be very, very innovative. Even as we discuss SMEs, we don't look at it as a typical old business. It's a business that you have to nurture. And if we nurture them collectively and give them the right advice, give them the right kind of solutions, we believe that the growth of the economy will be anchored on the SME space.
Right. Yeah. I like that you're speaking about nurturing, because we know that a majority of SMEs, they close shop within the first 3 to 5 years of establishment. So to get an SME to a point of profitability and even exiting that bracket of SMEs, so that they can scale. Please tell us more about what you're doing exactly.
For SME, I think you call it spot on. One of the challenges that SMEs face is the financial literacy. And as I&M, even as we embark on this space, what we've done very deliberately is to ensure that we are syncing our financial literacy and advice to these SMEs from the onset. Because we've seen, typically if you speak to the SME towards the end of their career path, probably that 5 year, you're not helping that person. The only way that you're helping that person is to ensure that continually from day one, you are walking the journey. You're able to review and see if we offer a micro banker to help the SME, actually from an advisory perspective, investment options, cost options. Regularly they have this conversation. So you're not waiting until the 5th year for them to say, oh, no, I cannot be able to do it. So even as we expand, we are offering the SMEs financial advice from the onset, things to do with their cost management, things to do with their sourcing alignments, things to do with how do they even manage their overheads, all these things. Because in business, if you're not able to really manage your costs, then the end is more than guaranteed. Any business is anchored on success, but more or less keenly being reviewed on the cost arrangement. Because SMEs, you find that some of them, you start the business and they're already running at 50% cost to income. That is not a very good model to have. You need to ensure that your overheads are as low as 25%, so at least the balance of the 75, you're actually able to deploy profitability and scaling up.
I think advancing credit to SMEs, that journey has come a long way.
Yes.
There was a time when SMEs were high risk and, you know, banks could not touch them.
Yes.
And so the banking industry has been forced to innovate a lot.
Yes.
Tell us about those innovative ventures, so to say, that the banking industry has had to do to accommodate this class.
When you see the products that we have actually come up with, they actually bespoke products, which have been the thought of the SME from the onset.
Okay.
Why do I say so? Today, you'll find, I'll give an example. If you go to Gikomba, for instance, and you find people who are actually trading in Tuba business, guys who are doing a Tiba business in that particular area. If you look at your solution to be the typical, the old way of banking, you're not going to bank that customer. Because that customer probably wants a solution whereby they can pick funds in the morning, deploy them through the day, and bank them back in the evening. That's a very unique model. If you don't now get into understanding their business model, then you cannot be able to give the solution. So some of the products that you've actually be able to roll out, which are very innovative, you have a very robust stock financing proposition. We have a very robust micro, small, and MSME loan facilities. Most of them are actually unsecured. But they are geared towards helping the SME move from scale one, say from X to Y. Yeah.
When you say even most of them are unsecured, I'm curious as to how you now balance that risk for the bank.
Yes. One of the pillars that we actually want to be known for is being very strong on ecosystems and partnerships. Because you find that there's always the anchor, person who is probably supplying these SMEs with products. So how can we be able to anchor on that ecosystem to ensure that you balance the risk element? Why do I say so? Say, for instance, today you're used to picking your goods from company A, and they give you these goods throughout for free, and then by the evening you pay them. It is not a very difficult element to sit with that anchor and see who are your top SMEs that you support. Then you're able to extend the support to those, because they're not going to shut their businesses, and yet they have done it for the last 4 or 5 years. Yes. Yeah. It's more or less looking at balancing the risk and also the reward. And in SME and typically in retail, you look at it from a portfolio perspective. Portfolio, I mean, I need to see also holistically. If I'm deciding to partner in people who are doing trading, say in Gikomba, how many of those are actually doing well? Because many a times you get discouraged because one person or another person has actually gone down, then it creates like a perception that that business is bad. It's not.
It's not.
And if you adopt that kind of approach, then you will actually lose out on most of the business opportunities on the SME space. Yes.
For a lot of businesses, the small businesses, formalization has not yet been achieved.
Yes.
Because of one thing or the other.
Yes.
So I'm curious as to what you're doing to enable these SMEs to ensure that, you know, their books are right and the stuff that they need to be able to even request a loan eventually. Yeah.
Betty, it's a very dicey conversation because most of the businesses who actually started as side hustles.
Right.
So you find that I have a biashara somewhere, let me see how it goes, and then I decide whether I want to incorporate it or whether I want to now make it a fully fledged company. So what we always encourage is from the day one. That's why it's very critical that even our expansion journey, which we've really been on for the last couple of years, is to say, even as we deploy a branch, can we deploy also the micro bankers, the relationship managers, so that that conversation is held at the very early stage of the discussion, such that when you are starting to bank with us, even as we give the products, we tell you, you know, now in 5 years, your financing requirements will not be this low. But in 5 years, probably you'll be seeking 10 million, 5 million, things like that. So how do you grow in that journey? So that you take those baby steps. Maybe you never had an auditor, you get an auditor. You never had an incorporation, you incorporate. You never had like a company, like small baby steps. But we've seen success. The ones that have worked with us that journey, we can actually look back and say that we have actually seen success in that particular area. Yeah.
In this very same area of funding, there are other, what do I say, funding institutions that have come about, so to say. There's the digital finance guys who have come up, and because of their ease of access, a lot of businesses, small businesses are going to them. How would you say that compares to dealing with a bank?
I'll say you cannot really differentiate the two. You cannot separate the two. You can only complement the two propositions. Why do I say so? For instance, with the advent of AI, most of our solutions, probably in the next 2-3 years, Betty, will not be too different from each other. So you'll actually be looking at Bank A, Bank B, Bank C. So you look at what is the user experience I'm getting on the app. So it's very easy for you to switch from Bank A to Bank B or to either to Bank C. What is going to change the conversation is the personal touch that you have with your bank. Because there are those discussions that you want to have with your banker. You cannot have it on the app. Yet, you still require this app for convenience.
Yes.
Because one of the dangers of retail banking is actually your cost to serve. If your cost to serve is up the roof, then again, your business model will not be. So you need digital. You're not in competition with digital. But for you to ensure that your customer is loyal to you, you need that personal touch. That is why even when we expand our network, even as we grow our footprint, we are very clear that we want to have a very robust digital offering to complement even what we are having across the branches. And also, keep in mind the financial literacy that we have in this country. Because if you, I'll just use an example. If you go to Turkana and you want to offer fully digital proposition, what will be the level of understanding for your digital offering? So even as we transition our customers to be more financially literate, you need to carry along with them and explain to them this is how you do things. And even an element of reassurance. You want to see your bank. Fine, it can be online, but at the end of the day, you also still require the personal touch. So I don't say that we are in competition with digital guys who are offering digital solutions. We are actually saying, as a bank, and actually as I&M, we have invested very heavily on a very robust digital offering to complement what we have, even on the personal side. It's critical that your bank understands you. And I was actually reading another article about even the future of banking. Even in very developed countries. You find that there are countries who are actually struggling. They've actually deployed robots. But they're trying to crack, how do you have a human touch to the robots? It's a similar thing. You can be very digitally powered, but at the same time, you also need to have that personal touch. Yes.
Technology will always keep evolving, but
yes,
as you say, the human touch cannot be replaced.
You can't replace, yeah.
Right. So if someone is watching and,
yes,
and they are, running or thinking of running an SME, what
yes,
would be your message to them?
I think I&M is the bank to be, to go to. Let me start from there. We are the fastest growing bank in terms of the customer acquisition in the country. And it's by no means that we have got there. It has got there because of being very, very deliberate in terms of our propositions. We are the only bank which doesn't charge for bank to M-Pesa. We initially started with that proposition for the individual banking customers. We've now rolled it up to the SMEs, or what we refer to as the solo biz. So, and again, I spoke about the element of cost management. So you'd imagine how many payments that you need to make through the day. We are the only bank which is offering that for free, or what we refer to as I&M Nisare. So any SME who is looking for a partner to grow with, I think I&M is the right bank to be in, and we are actually anchoring their growth. And as I said, we celebrated 50 years. We are looking to celebrate another 50 years. We want the SMEs to speak on our behalf, that we've been that partner who has walked with them the journey and who's actually been able to deliver what they initially envisaged to achieve.
Right.
Yes.
In less than a minute, tell us, as your closing remarks,
yes,
the future of banking, the relationship between the banking industry and the SME sector.
We're still going to be very deliberate in terms of focusing on SMEs. We always say that solutions for today will not be the solutions for tomorrow. But even as I wind up, I'll also want to mention and highlight that even our expansion that we've done, we've really taken ESG into consideration. We've gone into modular kind of branch expansion. And why we venture into these setups is more or less, first of all, to take care of the environment. Most of our container branches, which again, it's another new thing for the economy, are actually powered by solar. So we ensure that our carbon footprint is actually reduced even as we do the expansion to cater for these SMEs. And most importantly, even when you're trying to grow our presence across the country. Yes.
Right. ESG is a topic that we can discuss for the next 1 hour,
yes,
But thank you very much, Stanley. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Betty, and thanks for having us in your show today.
Sana.
Thank you.
That is Stanley Gashoki. He is the head of distribution and premium banking at I&M Bank, just talking about how the banking industry is supporting SMEs. And he says that it is a very important sector to support and to nurture those businesses so that they can grow and continue supporting the economy. That is where we put a cap on BizCheck this morning. Thank you very much for staying with us, for watching, and for interacting with us at KBC Channel 1 on Twitter. My personal Twitter handle is at Betty Kiptum. Let us connect and interact. From everybody who made this broadcast possible, we thank you and wish you a lovely afternoon. Continue enjoying the rest of your viewing. Goodbye.